Hello everyone, welcome back to fantasyfootballfix.com and to your latest episode of Eddie versus the Algorithm, the series where we take a look at the computer-generated team calculated by the algorithm to score the most predicted points ahead of this coming game week. And I put together my own free hit team for that same game week, and we face them off against each other and see who can score the most points for each game week of the season. We made a return to this format in game week 3, and in that game week I actually came out on top with 64 points to the algorithm's 55, largely thanks to Ivan Perisic. His 12 points were massively appreciated. But let's see if we can make it 2-0 in the series, or can the algorithm pull it back and make it 1-1? We'll have to have a look at the teams to find that out. So without any further ado, let's get into having a look at how the algorithm team is shaping up for game week 4. And in goal for the algorithm this week, no messing about, we're getting straight into it, and it's going to be Raya between the sticks at only 4.5 million, and looks a pretty good option. Brentford are actually 10th best for expected goals conceded so far this season, which is taken from the OptaStats section over at the Fantasy Football Fix website. If you want to check it out for yourself, links will be down below in the description, so you can check out all the statistics and more used in these videos. They've conceded the 4th most shots in the league, however, which is a little bit of a worrying sign, but I can't imagine they'll be conceding too many more as they face Everton at home, who are 14th for expected goals as a team in the league so far this season, albeit only over 3 game weeks. In the match prediction section, we're seeing a 1-0 Brentford victory predicted for this game, which would lend itself nicely to Raya picking up those 4 clean sheet points, and he certainly looks a decent option to go for ahead of game week 4 as well as long term. We looked at the upcoming fixtures and the best teams to target for defensive fixture difficulty in the Your Quick Guide series yesterday, so go and check that out if you want to. I've left a card up there for you to go and check out that video as well at the end of this one. In defence, we're seeing a back 4 of Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel and Walker. So staying loyal to some of those defenders who had absolute stinkers in game week 3, with Cancelo and Trent only scoring 0 points apiece. Man City are actually second in terms of expected clean sheets so far this season, which is interesting, and they've been very good going forward as well. So you can see some attacking returns potentially for Cancelo, less so for Walker in terms of likelihood. Cancelo's actually 3rd highest for the expected FPL points data tool that we can see over in the OptaStats section, with only Zinchenko and Reece James outscoring the Portugueseman for expected FPL points so far this year. Crystal Palace aren't the easiest opponent, I should say, in the league. They're actually 4th for expected goals so far this season, despite facing some tougher opponents such as Liverpool in the first 3 games. So not the best chance of a clean sheet there for Man City, but the algorithms decided to double up and go with Cancelo and Walker for this game week. Gabriel himself is 6th for expected FPL points of any defender, but interestingly his teammates, as mentioned, Zinchenko and also Saliba, are ranked higher than him in terms of that metric. Arsenal host Fulham at home, who are 5th best for expected goals over the season, who have again already faced Liverpool in the first 3 game weeks of the season. The Gunners are 1st for expected clean sheets, so they're the only team ahead of Manchester City over the first 3 game weeks who are expected to get more clean sheets. So some very formidable defences the algorithm is going for. Trent Alexander-Arnold, we already know, is a good pick. He's been pretty poor so far this season, but if there's any game to bounce back, Bournemouth are conceding a lot of crosses down their left-hand side, which Trent will be going up, and so getting some crosses into the box could see some attacking returns for him. I definitely urge away from transferring Trent out if that's in your consideration at all. But when we do look at the defenders, and Gabriel in particular, I did want to have a look at some other 5.0 million defenders that we can compare alongside him. I mentioned that Zinchenko is highest for expected FPL points out of any defender in the game, in fact, not just around the 5 million price bracket, with 6.93 expected FPL points per 90, which is very impressive indeed. There also is 1st for expected clean sheets when he's been on the pitch for Arsenal, over the likes of Walker, Trippier and Cucurella. So those teams are Man City, Newcastle and Chelsea. Very impressive indeed as well for Arsenal, but they have had some nice easy fixtures over those first 3 weeks. Expected assists also go in favour of the Ukrainian, 0.23, way ahead of the likes of Kyle Walker and Trippier, and also quite far ahead of Cucurella, who hasn't had many minutes this season so far. And they face a fixture in Fulham that is a very nice fixture too, with 4.6 predicted points for Zinchenko ahead of Walker in second with 4.4, as you can see. Trippier all the way down on 2.3 and Cucurella on 3.7, where the algorithms take into effect that Koulibaly will be suspended and Cucurella will be at left centre-back. We'll have to wait and see. And over the next 5 predicted points go in favour of Kyle Walker. So if you're looking for a long-term option, perhaps Zinchenko isn't actually the best pick. Maybe going for Kyle Walker and strengthening and adding a second Man City defender if you already own the likes of Cancelo or Ederson could be a nice pick to go for. So yeah, that's the 5.0 defender comparison. Let me know who your favourite pick is of those selections? Or maybe it's even Gabriel, who you've seen in here. Is it one of those four, or do you prefer the Brazilian centre-back of Arsenal? In midfield then, we're seeing a midfield three of Salah, Luis Diaz and Gabriel Martinelli. A very, very nice looking midfield ahead of this game week. Some of the midfielders who are in cheaper price brackets and in good form having slightly tougher fixtures. The like of Rodrigo, Pascal Gross, they face off against each other this week. Whereas targeting two Liverpool midfielders for that home game against Bournemouth, and Martinelli, who's in fantastic form against Fulham at home, seems a very, very sensible way to go. And I'm sure a lot of you watching might own two, if not all three of these guys in your teams, and it's very, very good to see. Salah's also got the captain's armband, as you can see. He's predicted to score the highest amount of points of any player in Game Week 4, which we saw yesterday again in the quick guide video, if you want to check that out at the end of this one. And then finally up front, we're seeing a front line of Gabriel Jesus, Erling Haaland and Ivan Toney. The front line I would have if I were on a wild card, and the front line that's the algorithm's going with just for this game week alone. So a very good short-term and long-term lineup to be going with as your front strike force. Jesus and Haaland, we know why they're great options. They're scoring big points already this season and looking fantastic. And Toney emerging as a great option, with Brentford having some very, very tasty fixtures up until that wildcard opportunity around the game week 9 point. Haaland is the one with a bit of doubt surrounding him after Pep came out with those quotes saying that he would play Julian Alvarez when the midweek fixture congestion starts, and that will start after Game Week 4 because Game Week 5 is the first midweek game week of the season. And I've seen a few people confusing with Game Week 5 being a double game week for Game Week 4. It's not, it's its own separate game week with a turnaround. So Game Week 4 is at the weekend, Game Week 5 is in midweek, and then we have Game Week 6 after that. So there's 3 separate game weeks in a short amount of time, which means we could see some benching for Haaland, some limited minutes with Julian Alvarez coming in to play for Manchester City. So maybe sooner than we expected, we'll be moving the Norwegian out of our sides. But Harry Kane looks like a good option to switch to. If you don't own one of Toney or Jesus, you could switch over to them as well. But I don't know who's not owning Jesus at this point, being owner 80% ownership. But it looks like a very good strike force for this week, even with Haaland's rotation problems looming in the near future. And then on the bench, we're seeing Ward, Andreas, Patterson and Gilmour. So not the best fixtures, Andreas and Patterson for this week, so they'll be stepped to the bench. Andreas, maybe if Fulham had a decent fixture, could even be in contention to start with his great enabling price point of 4.5 million and looking very good. You never know, a nice corner or a nice set piece. He could even grab something against Arsenal and wipe out that Gabriel clean sheet that we're seeing in the algorithm side. So Mitrovic in the box is always a threat. Fulham are always going to be a threat if they can get some set pieces, and Andreas has been spot on with his deliveries so far this season. So that's the algorithm team predicted to score 69 points. No inappropriate comments down below in the comment section, please. But we'll have a look now at my team and what I'm actually going for ahead of this upcoming game week. To take on the algorithm, it's quite a similar team. I'm afraid I've stuck with the exact same front six. I'm going with Jesus, Haaland, Toney, Salah, Diaz and Martinelli, with the captain's armband still on Mohamed Salah. But I'm going for Reece James, Trippier, Perisic and Ramsdale, changing 4 of the back 5 that you can see there. So I've taken out Raya. I think Ramsdale's a good option to go for into the Arsenal defence because I wanted these outfield defenders. I accept that Perisic is a little bit of a risk. He may well be rotated with Sessegnon, but I think that he's just got such high upside when he's on the pitch that I am willing to take that risk. And even when he gets subbed on, if he gets subbed on, he could be in favour of a big return. Trippier, you saw, has pretty poor predicted points for this game week, and over the next couple of game weeks, he's not looking too great either. But that Wolves fixture, I think, is better than it does look on paper from where the algorithm team is coming from, in terms of the fact that Wolves, over the last couple of seasons, don't have the best, or have quite strong predicted points data for expected goals conceded and whatnot. So they look like a stronger defence on paper for the algorithm than I think they actually are. So they've been quite weak so far this season. So I'm looking to target Trippier, and you never know with him. We saw against Man City, he can just get a free kick on the edge of the box, and you got a high chance of ending up in the back of the net from the foot of Kieran Trippier. And then finally, Reece James. Leicester, again, are one of those teams that aren't probably as strong as the algorithm is seeing them to be. So going for him at Leicester at home, hopefully he can return to the right wing-back spot, and he can earn me some points, and I can outscore the algorithm once again. As the teams are a little more similar this week, it'll probably be closer in terms of the points totals, but we'll see, shall we? Can I make it 2-0 in the series? Let me know who you're backing to score the most points for Game Week 4, myself or the algorithm, your team algorithm or Team Eddie, down below in the comments. Let me see, and as always, I'll be doing my best to reply to all of you down there if you want to leave any dilemmas that you're facing with regards to your own team. So thank you for tuning in once again to Eddie versus the algorithm, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.